The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hello everyone. Today on Aging Horizons, we're going to be talking about a pretty important topic. It's senior financial exploitation. We have a wonderful person with us who really knows her stuff about this, and you know her well, Katie Lovell, our legal services developer. She's going to talk about what to look for, how to avoid being scammed, etc. We have a lot of good stuff, so stay tuned.
Suddenly I couldn't speak.
I knew something was wrong. I called 911 immediately.
My arm didn't hurt, it just stopped working.
I knew the signs of a stroke. I called 911.
Know these warning signs, and if they happen to you or anyone with you, call 911. Treatment within 3 hours from the start of symptoms can make a difference. Stroke is a major cause of disability. It is also highly preventable. Learn the signs and act immediately. For more information, call 1-888-4STROKE.
You mean I can get help paying my prescription drug premiums?
Let me get this straight. I could be eligible for help with my family's prescription premiums even though I own my own home?
And our assets won't be counted.
If you're a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you could be eligible for help paying your premiums. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out, even if you think you're over income.
What do you know about that? I'm eligible.
I have so many questions about power of attorney.
Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights?
Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored, but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
Hello everyone and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and we're so glad you're here with us today. We're going to be talking about senior financial exploitation, giving you the real basic stuff that you need to know to avoid that, find red flags. We don't want anybody to be exploited. So we're glad you're with us today. And we have Katie Lovell. Katie,
hi,
welcome. So
thank you.
Good to have you on that side of the table.
Yes, yeah.
You, Katie, are our legal services developer for the state of Montana out of the Office on Aging.
Yes.
Just to start, will you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure, yeah, that's a very confusing title. That doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, so I run a legal advice and assistance program that is aimed at senior citizens. So we cover all sorts of civil legal issues, everything from landlord-tenant to consumer debt to student loan debt, which is something I didn't think we'd be talking nearly as much about with seniors as we do.
Yeah.
But we do limited scope advice and then some limited scope preparation of documents, things like estate planning services, and just are there to help people, family members, caregivers access legal information on a wide range of civil
and sort of just
issues.
Navigate.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
if you can't take care of it, you're going to at least attempt a referral.
Right, yeah, get people where they need to be.
Yeah, very, very good. A great explanation. I understand completely. So let's talk about senior financial exploitation because it's on the rise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Let's talk about it. What's going on with that?
So senior financial exploitation is it's a huge community-wide problem. It affects every community from the smallest town in Montana to the largest city in the United States. It's a problem that affects millions of seniors. Annually, they predict that 1 million seniors are skipping meals because of senior financial exploitation, which to me, there are a lot of statistics about senior financial exploitation, but that's the one that hurts the most.
Yeah.
I hate to think of people
not eating,
working their whole lives and then not being able to eat because they've been exploited. So Yeah, it's a massive problem, and it affects so many people in our communities.
And what's the face of exploitation? What are we looking at? Are we talking you bought too many magazines, or it's bigger than that, isn't it?
Yeah. Senior financial exploitation happens to so many of the seniors that live in our community. I mean, financial exploitation happens to any of us.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us have fallen for that? You want a new gift card from Target, you just have to fill out this information. I know I personally get that one. Target gets me every time. Give me a gift card and I'm there.
Yep.
So financial exploitation is something that affects all of us. It affects every face of the community. But seniors in particular are sometimes identified as targets for some institutional problems. A lot of times seniors are isolated. We don't do always a great job of including seniors in our community on a community-wide level.
Right.
A lot of times seniors start to, as they age, have issues with memory, which can make them poor record keepers.
Right.
So you may not remember, did I buy this medical equipment? Did I agree to this contract? Was this explained to me in a way that you might have when you were younger?
Right.
It's also, people as we age, we've lived our whole lives. We maybe have attained, master's degrees, doctorates, and that gives us a lot of confidence in our ability to make financial decisions.
Right.
But it also means that people don't consult financial advisors maybe, or reach out to their families and friends, so they can actually become a victim of financial exploitation because they have that increased confidence in their ability to handle their finances.
So they're not really paying enough attention to the red flags that might be going up. Possibly.
Maybe they have a higher level of trust in themselves, which is always a good thing. But not reaching out, not having a second set of eyes on things can be very dangerous for people's finances.
And what about just stigma? I mean, what I always think about is seniors sort of get picked on because they may not tell anyone because they're afraid to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes from a lot of different places. One, the fear may be that the person that's exploiting them may be a loved one or a caregiver, and they're dependent on that person. Or they're isolated and have only that person to reach out to. So they may be afraid to reach out. It could come from the fact that they're afraid that if they report the exploitation, that will be used against them and their rights will be taken away. They'll be seen as incapable of managing their own finances, and that's certainly not something we want people to be afraid of.
Right, and you mentioned that it might be a family member or something. No one wants to have to go down that road.
Right.
But in order to stay safe and in your home and live with dignity, if something happens, you need to reach out.
Absolutely. And I think so much of the time when we see people being exploited, the exploiter themselves is doing this because they are suffering from something, either a substance abuse disorder, a gambling addiction. So that person also needs help, and they're never going to get the help they need if they're continuing to allow this sort of theft to fund that sort of lifestyle. So, the perpetrator, when we think of, a lot of times we think of, the son in his 30s to 50s who has a substance abuse or gambling addiction. And that certainly is a problem. Those people are out there and that's a problem. But the perpetrator could be anyone. It could be a granddaughter, it could be a grandson, it can be a family friend, a member of your church, it could be a neighbor, it could be someone that you met on the internet. Exploitation, unfortunately, is around sort of every corner.
And I think you bring to mind a point for me, which is it's important to remember that a lot of times those other folks, the exploiters, are suffering from something themselves. That doesn't justify exploiting a person, but it explains perhaps, and maybe that makes it easier for somebody to come forward if you think, I'll get them help.
Right, absolutely.
And reach out in that way.
Absolutely.
I know it would help me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, Katie, we have covered a bunch of stuff so far. We have just a couple of seconds left. Folks, we're going to go into some ways to identify potential scams or financial exploitation, how to find or identify potential exploiters, and just to avoid exploitation in general. As Katie mentioned, some folks are isolated, some folks are maybe wanting something that they know in their heart isn't going to happen, but they fall for it. We want to tell you how to avoid that. We want to tell you how to keep yourself safe. So please stay with us.
Crackling fire, good warm.
Forest fire, bad warm. Keeping the home fires burning, good warm. Watching the home burn, bad warm. Your family deserves the kind of warm that comes from being able to pay the heating bills. Whether you're a homeowner or a renter, the Low Income Energy Assistance Program may be able to help. Call today to find out if you're eligible. We can help you get comfortable with winter's high energy costs.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
You sure you can see?
Yeah.
Are the headlights on?
Yes.
Do we need chains?
No.
Need to slow down?
You know, you're probably right.
Winterize your vehicle, then winterize your mind. Stay clear of snowplows until they pull over, and it's safe to pass. Drive safely and arrive alive.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with Katie Lovell today, and we're talking about senior financial exploitation. Katie, again, welcome back, so good to see you. Let's talk about some of the specifics with financial exploitation. What are the red flags?
Sure. So at first I'm going to cover sort of that exploitation from someone that you don't know. So a high pressure salesman, someone on the internet, someone that gives you a call. This is the type of exploitation we're talking about right now. So a lot of time that is someone that comes to your door that they appear credible. I'm from the IRS. They are maybe probably dressed nice. They're clean cut, clean shaven. Someone that you would look at and tend to trust.
Right.
So that's a tactic that they're using to try to get you to buy and to trust them.
So they know that's on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It's absolutely on purpose.
Yep.
A lot of times there's a gift of a riches from nowhere. So your great aunt that you've never met passed away, and she has this giant inheritance, and you're going to get it. You just have to fill out some forms and pay the money to get it through customs or pay the taxes ahead of time. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen.
Right.
You likely do not have a great aunt. That's not how you would be contacted if you did. Very rarely is that an actual situation. Money doesn't fall from the sky, unfortunately.
Exactly.
The second one is they tend to rush you. They're going to want you to make the decision immediately. Call in the next 5 minutes. There's a limited quantity available. Your neighbors have scooped up the last few ones. They're trying to rush you, trying to make you make that decision based on emotions, not on the thinking part of your brain.
Right.
The second part of that is they're going to make it seem scarce. There's only a limited quantity available. There's only 5 of these available. I don't know how long I can hold this product for you. There's only 1 of these trips available. If you don't get it, I have to offer it to the next person. Again, trying to make you react on emotion, not on the thinking part of your brain. The next is that they may offer to help you in return for something that you're doing for them. So I'm going to buy this car from you, but I have to ship it to myself. So I'm going to send you this big check. You're going to pay a small portion of that check out, and then to the shipping company, and then we'll both get what we need in the end. Right. Most of the time, those are scams. Almost all, I would say all of the time, those are scams.
Yeah.
So unless you know the person personally, never ever agree to deposit the money into your account, because that check bounces and then you've already wired them money.
And Katie, what's the sort of thought of getting any of that money back? That doesn't happen, does it?
It doesn't. No. So often that we don't know where these people are, or they're outside of the United States. They're using fake names and addresses. So it's very difficult to get that money back. Not that you shouldn't report it, because sometimes we absolutely can.
Right.
But once it's gone, it's much harder to get back.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and the other one is appealing to your neighbors. All of your neighbors are doing it. Everyone you know is doing it. All of the women in your age group are doing it to try to make you want to feel like you're needing to fit in.
Right, right. And also, I think, let's just make it really clear, there's no free lunch. We know that.
Right.
We know that as reasonable adults, but we get lured in sometimes if we're feeling badly about something, if we're concerned about a bill we need to pay, we can get lured in, and we want to make sure people don't get lured in.
Right, especially as we age when our incomes become fixed but our expenses don't. So it's really understandable that you're looking for that windfall.
Exactly.
But it just doesn't exist.
So how do we avoid exploitation?
Yeah, there's a lot of really common sense things that you can do to protect yourself. One is always read the fine print. Ask for everything in writing, ask to see all of the details, and then make sure that you read it. If it's contained in the contract, you have a much better chance of being able to litigate in the future if something should go bad. Make sure that you never give out personal information to an unknown caller. The IRS, Medicaid is never going to call you and ask for your personal information. So, and if they are calling you and you have questions about, hang up on them, look up the information for their phone numbers and call them back. Don't call back the number that they've given to you. Just make sure that you're protecting yourself in that way.
Because there's ways to mask a phone number now that makes you think it's coming from someplace that's on the level.
Absolutely, yeah. The technology for scammers is getting really good, unfortunately. The next one I would say is check your finances often. So it's online banking makes it really easy to have sort of instant access to your account, monitoring what's going in and what's coming out. Super important. Checking your credit scores every year. You can do that annually for free on myannualcreditreport.com. It's free. You get one from each bureau.
Oh, wow.
You should be doing that every year. If you're not planning on taking out credit in the next year, just making sure that you can even freeze your credit so that no one can be getting a loan against your information. So super important that way. Make sure you're never giving out iTunes gift cards as payment for anything. No legitimate organization is going to ask you to pay in iTunes gift cards.
Oh, heaven's sakes, is that a scam?
Absolutely, it's a scam. Yep. Never a good thing to do. Be wary of new online friends and then closing pop-up windows if you see them on their computer.
Yeah, because I think, we're not going to talk about this today, but just the increased use of the internet by older folks, is causing them to come up against things that they've never seen before.
Absolutely.
And they don't know whether it's on the level or not. So.
Yeah, and then just ask questions. Ask lots and lots of questions. Reach out.
So how do we stop it?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think there are a lot of really important ways to do it.
Yeah, right.
But if you're experiencing it right now, reaching out for help, reporting. Absolutely report. Adult Protective Services takes reports every day in Montana for thousands of exploitation cases across the country.
Okay, we're going to run that number on the screen
absolutely.
so people
and there are lots of other organizations that you can report to. You can call me. My number will pop up on the screen. The Federal Trade Commission, the Senate Special Committee on Aging, the Office of Consumer Protection, all really good resources. But reporting it is so important. Only 1 in 44 cases is ever reported. So the more that we know about this problem, the more that we can do about it. Reaching out to family and friends, revoking any legal documents that need to be revoked, powers of attorney, things like that, and then closing accounts that may be affected. Really important steps.
And we're going to talk about it in our next segment. We have lots of resources to help support people in their efforts to do that. You don't have to do it alone.
Right, you never have to do it alone.
Exactly. You can reach out, folks. There's folks that are out there to support you, advocate for you, guide you. We want to tell you all about that and more. So please stay with us. We have a whole lot more to tell you.
I was diagnosed with diabetes in 1992 and I went into denial. It made me angry. I was a professional chef and I didn't want to change my eating style. It took me a long time to get serious about managing my health. My perspective changed from resentment to one of loving my body, the container for my spirit. Getting help from my diabetes educator supported my goals of improved self-care. I want to feel good and have a great life. My diabetes educator helps me do this.
In 20 years at an electric utility, I've seen the hardships many of our neighbors face with high winter heating bills.
Ross Holter, Flathead Electric Co-op.
That's why I donate to Energy Share of Montana. I just hate the thought of senior citizens and young kids especially being cold in the winter. Donate to Energy Share. Help your neighbor stay warm.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
We've been married for 57 years, and we've always been very, very close. And Bessie fell and broke her hip, and we put her in the nursing home. And I wanted to get her out of there in the worst way, because we married for better or for worse, and we're going to stay that way. And the personal care that comes in here and gives us a hand is equally as important as I am to her. Personal care is the answer to it all, and without it we couldn't do it.
Good care is your right. In Montana, there's over 11,000 beds in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. If you or a family member needs assistance or help in obtaining information about care issues and placement options, call 1-800-332-2272. If you or a family member need information about Montana's long-term care resident rights, or if you need help solving a problem or a complaint about a nursing home or an assisted living facility, call us at 800-332-2272.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons, where we're talking about senior financial exploitation today with Katie Lovell, the legal services developer with the Office on Aging. Heidi. So let's talk a bit about what you have coming up, because you do a lot of stuff at the Office on Aging. What's going to come down the pike for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a series of trainings that are coming up this spring that we've been doing now for about 3 years that we think are pretty effective, and they cover senior financial exploitation from the point of view of a professional that may be, a first-line person who comes into contact with seniors. So we invite banking professionals and nursing, anyone that works in a skilled nursing facility, assisted livings, also hospitals, just nurses in general. A lot of times our first responders to elder exploitation. And then we invite everyone from electricians to barbers to plumbers, anyone that might be in a senior's home and may be witnessing signs of exploitation that they may not realize. Yeah, it's a really wonderful training. It is accredited for nursing CEU credits, social worker CEU credits, and attorney CLE credits. So lots of accreditations. If you are a member of those professional organizations, you can get free credits by attending these trainings. They're about 3 hours long, really effective, really great training. So
how do people find out? We can put up a number on the screen, or
they can call the office, and they'll be in all of the locations that we have clinics at, which we'll talk about in a minute or two. So
sounds good.
Anytime. And then if a community that we're not going to visit would like to have one of those trainings, just give me a call and we'll see what we can arrange getting people over there too.
That sounds great.
And the next thing we're planning is a series on guardianships in Montana. So this is a 7-part series that'll cover how Montana deals with adult guardianships as well as guardianships for children. And it's a training series that's really aimed at attorneys to try to encourage sort of defensive guardianships. And there's some really great speakers. It's a guardianship 101, then a using mediation to sort of limit guardianships, then a competency versus capacity, sort of a national overview of guardianship, what's sort of happening nationwide around guardianships, and then a look at what happened in Nevada when their system sort of collapsed and now is being rebuilt, communicating with clients with disabilities, and then protective measures that are available under Montana's current guardianship laws.
And just remind us, what does it mean if you have a guardianship?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thank you, Kimmy. So a guardianship is something that is put in place by the court for a person who is deemed to have lost their ability to make their own decisions. So it's supposed to be a protective arrangement in which the person under the guardianship retains as many rights as possible, but is then assisted with making decisions about where they're going to live, any type of financial decisions. That's part of a conservatorship, which is often granted at the same time. So it's a protective relationship imposed by the court.
And it's really important to remember that a family member can't say you don't have capacity. A neighbor doesn't get to say that. This is serious, and you're not going to be dragged into something unless there's reason to believe you need assistance.
Right, and the person who's being subjected to a guardianship membership has a lot of rights. They get to go to the hearings, they get an appointed attorney, they get the right to see a doctor, and we're just really trying to make sure that all of those rights are protected.
Great, that sounds great.
Yeah, and then the other really big thing and exciting thing we're doing are our legal document clinics, and these travel across the state. This year we're going to be in Deer Lodge, Stevensville, Plentywood, Pablo, Great Falls, Immigrant, and Helena. So 7 locations across the state, and those are going to be in-person clinics where we're going to bring in legal volunteers to help people complete estate planning documents. And estate planning documents are so vital as a really important step to make sure that you're protected against financial exploitation and preventing and stopping current financial exploitation. So we'll be doing documents like powers of attorney, wills, declarations of homestead, transfer on death deeds, and living wills, and we're absolutely happy to talk to anyone about those documents. And then if we're not coming to a community near you, you can always have those documents done through our phone clinic program, which is available year-round. The qualifications are that you are over the age of 60, that you do not have custody of a minor child, and those are usually those are the only ones really.
And how does a person or a family member find out about the clinics, either in person or the teleclinics?
So we do a lot of advertising in communities across the state if we're coming to your community, but you can always call my office, either me or our AmeriCorps volunteer, Rice, will get back to you, give you all the details, and if we're not coming to a community near you, we can sign you up with one of those phone clinics.
So we know that the clinics, because I've had the great opportunity to work with the clinics with you. The clinics are in person, so people come to see us. That's different than a phone clinic. How does a phone clinic work?
Sure, a phone clinic is a one-on-one appointment with one of our staff who will give you a call, go through each of the documents with you, asks you a bunch of questions. They complete the documents while they're talking to you, then they're reviewed by our attorney and mailed out to you with instructions on what to do with them. So it's a really great service. You get all of the same documents that you would at an in-person clinic, but it's a one-on-one thing, and it's great for people who maybe can't get to a live clinic, can't leave their home,
maybe don't drive any longer.
Don't drive. Yeah, it's a really great service, and it's not an immediate service. Sometimes it takes a little while to get to the top of the list, but it's a really great program, especially for people needing to get their documents.
Absolutely, and I can't agree more. Those documents are absolutely imperative to keep you safe and to keep you, again, in dignity and in your own home if that's what you want.
Right, and having the ability to talk to an attorney is really helpful for people who might be currently victimized under financial exploitation.
So, Katie, this has been a great show. I've learned so much. Thank you so much for being here. Anything you want to say about any of the clinics or the financial exploitation before we go? I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and I would say this is really one of those areas in which knowledge is power. So reaching out, asking questions, making sure that you understand what you have in place, maybe what you need to have in place. If you have questions about a weird contract or a weird phone call that you got, if you're even getting weird vibes from a family member, give us a call. We're happy to chat about this stuff. It's not necessarily you trying to get anyone into trouble. It's just trying to get information to protect yourselves, and we're always willing and happy to do that.
That sounds great. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely.
You know, folks, reach out. You don't have to suffer through this alone. We want you to know the red flags, but we also want you to reach out to us and make sure that you get the guidance you need. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman. Thanks for being with us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.